Hello, I'm Gosia from Blissful Float Spa, and I will explain you everything you need to know before your first float. So once you go inside the float room, you close the doors and you lock it. You can leave your stuff inside the box or on the bench, and remember to turn your mobile off or switch the airplane mode so no one distracts you from relaxation. Then you undress and take your jewelry off. I will wear swimming costume for the video, but we recommend not wearing anything at all and go in the tank all nude. Then you need to put earplugs in your ears. It's the best to put them in before the shower when your skin is still dry. We provide brand new earplugs for every client, but they are reusable, so if you want you can keep them for the next time. Next you need to take shower. Even if you took shower just before coming here, you will still need to take it again to wash off deodorant from your body or lotion or hair products from your hair. You can use hair shampoo and body wash, but please don't use hair conditioner before your float. Once you finish shower, turn it off and then dry your face with the towel. It's important to dry your face well so you don't feel any itching on your face while you float. And then, if you have any cuts or scratches, you can apply this white petrolatum to prevent stinging from salty water. Also, some women occasionally they can have some stinging in private parts. If there is some irritation or dryness, or because of hormonal changes, pH can be different and that can cause stinging. For men and women it's enough if they just close their legs like this or cross them like this, and then stinging should go away after a couple of minutes. But it doesn't go away, you can go out of the tank and take a shower to wash off salt from your body, and then you can apply thick layer of this Vaseline and that should help you. Once you're ready, you go inside the tank. Just be careful because the salt is very slippery. Please don't use those parts as handles because they are only for the lid and they might break if you pull them. To close the lid, you pull this handle down and there is no lock, so you can open it anytime you want, you just need to push the lid up. If you feel too hot or you feel like you need more air, you can leave the lid half open, or if you feel claustrophobic, you can leave the lid fully open. It's entirely your choice what you want to do with the lid. You just need to be aware that if you leave the lid open for too long, you may feel it a bit chilly by the end of the session. And if you want to get into that deep meditative state, we recommend closing the lid and switching the light off, because that will give you this darkness and silence which helps get into that state. And to switch the light off, you need to press this black button behind the bottle. If you press it once, you will switch the light off, and if you press it twice, it will just change the color. And with the light, it's the same as with the lid. It's entirely your choice if you want to do it or when you want to do it. You can leave the light on for the whole session, or you can wait a couple of minutes until you are comfortable enough and then switch it off. But research shows that your brain waves slow down much better once you switch the light off, so it's really worth trying. If you don't like it, you can switch the light back on anytime you want. You just need to press this button again. Just don't mistake it with the other button. This button is to call help in case of emergency. We don't have separate emergency button for the shower, so even if you are outside of the tank and you need our assistance, also press this button in the tank and we'll come to assist you. But to not mistake those two buttons, we always recommend finding the bottle first, and the button for the light is always next to the bottle. And this button is to rinse your eyes in case you splash some water in your eyes, because water is very salty, so it will sting your eyes. It's the best to be careful, don't splash water too much. And very important, remember to not touch your face with your hands, because you will have a lot of salt on your hands and then the salt will get inside your eyes. Once you lie down, you may want to hold both walls with your hands or the back with your legs and hold on to it for about 1 minute or until you become still, especially if you have motion sickness or seasickness or vertigo. Because some people like moving and floating around, and floating is also very good for relaxing your joints, so it's nice to have a little bit of stretching in the beginning of the session. But if you have motion sickness, seasickness or vertigo and you move too much, then you can feel sick or dizzy, so then it's important to try to become still. Once you become still, the water will settle as well, and then all this sickness or dizziness should go away. And then you can try different positions, like hands on your tummy or on your chest, or you can hug yourself, or you can put your hands to the back. The most neutral position is with your hands down, a little bit spread. But we really recommend trying putting your hands up. This is a very nice position, a lot of people love it, because when your hands are down, your shoulders can go forward a little bit. And when you put them up, your shoulders are opening nicely. You can also try to put your hands behind your head. This position is also very nice because it will stretch your back, it will open up your shoulders, it will open up your lungs, so your breathing will be deeper and will be easier to breathe. And also it will help you to keep your head a little bit higher without using your neck. Because what is very important here is that you don't use your neck to keep your head up, because you will strain your neck and it will hurt you. You just need to trust the water that it will hold your head the same as the rest of your body. If in the middle of the session you start to have pain in your neck, You probably forgot to not use it because it's hard to remember about it for the whole hour. So if this happens, try to remember to put your chin higher and relax your neck. If this doesn't help, you may want to support your head with your hands like this under your head. If this doesn't help, or if it's too hard for you to stay in this position for too long, then you can use our head support. You just put it under your head like this, but this only as a last resort. We really don't recommend it because the goal here is to not have any sensory input, and this is extrasensory input, so it may distract you from relaxation, the same as your swimming costume. But if nothing else works and you have pain in your neck, it's always better to use this than to have pain in your neck, so it's here in case you need it. I also need to warn you that in the beginning of the session you can have a little bit of pain in your back, in your shoulders, in your neck, or even in your jaw if you have tension in your jaw, because floating is very good for tension release, but before it gets released, we feel it unfortunately. Hopefully it should loosen up somewhere in the middle of the session, and if you don't leave it too long between each session, next session should be already much more comfortable. If it's hard for you to switch off, you can use mindfulness techniques. You can basically focus on your body and scan your body from your head to toes or from toes to head and focus on each part of your body, how it feels weightless, or how tension gets released from each part of your body. Or you can focus on your breathing. You will notice that your breathing is slower than usually, or you can try box breathing, or you can count forwards or backwards. But generally, when you focus on your body, breathing or counting, it will help you to switch off and get into that deep meditative state. But at first, I wouldn't force anything, I would just see how it goes. Because even if your brain is working, your body is still relaxing. You will notice it once you go out of the tank or even 1 hour after your float, how your muscles will be relaxed. So you don't need to force yourself to switch off. You can just use this float session to process all your thoughts. A lot of people actually use floating specifically for this reason. Because normally, brain uses about 90% of power to deal with gravity and sensory input. And here, you don't have any of it, so suddenly your brain has a lot of power. And a lot of people actually use floating specifically for this reason, to use this extra power of the brain. And the fact they don't have any distractions, they use it for problem solving, for finding new solutions, new ideas, for creativity. It's very good for consolidating your studies, to understand it better and remember it better. Or if you have some important decisions to make, you can think about it properly, or to process some things that made you upset, or to release some emotions. But it's the best to just trust the process. Once you find comfortable position, just lie down and be curious and see what happens. Sometimes brain can send you some very interesting things to think about, but usually it's something what you really need to process so you can have a better sleep at night. Our regular float session is 60 minutes. For the first 10 minutes there will be music, then there will be silence for 45 minutes, and then there will be music again for the last 5 minutes of the session. And that last music will gradually get louder and louder to wake you up in case you fall asleep. And yes, you can fall asleep when you float, it's totally safe. And once that music finishes, it means that the session finished. So then you go out, you take a shower to wash your soil from your body. This time you can use hair conditioner. And very important, remember to rinse your ears properly. Take out the earplugs and rinse them inside. After shower, you can get dressed inside the float room or in one of our vanity stations. We will never rush you to leave your float room. But once you go to vanity station to fix your makeup or dry your hair, please take all your stuff with you. We kindly ask you to not leave any stuff inside the float room while you are in the vanity station, because we'll need to enter the room to prepare it for the next client. Now about the silence. A lot of people really enjoy their first float session. They really find it relaxing and pleasant. But if you are not used to silence and you are not used to lying still for long periods, it may take longer for you to get into that deep meditative state. If you feel like the time is dragging, you may feel like you want to go out after 20 minutes because you don't know what to do with yourself. We would still encourage you to try and stay at least until you hear the music. Obviously, you can get out whenever you want, it's your choice, you just need to open the lid and get out. We just encourage you to try and stay until you hear the music, because in the first float, it may take time before you get into that deep meditative state. It may happen even by the end of the session. So if you leave earlier, you will just miss that point. Because the thing is that first float, it's very new experience. You don't know what to expect. Some people are anxious, some people are excited, so it takes longer for them to really settle and relax. And like with every new activity, whenever you do anything new, it requires your brain and body to be more alert for the first 20 or 30 minutes. And it's the same with the float, like when you do it for the first time, it takes about 30 minutes to really settle and relax. And as well because we need time to get used to this silence and darkness. But once you get used to it, the thing is very rewarding. Usually the second float session is much more enjoyable than the first one because you already know what to expect, so you can get into that deep relaxation state much faster than in the first float. And the third float is usually like a light bulb moment for a lot of people. They usually start to understand what it is about because they are able to get really deep into it and quite fast once they get inside the float tank. So there is huge difference between the first session and the third session. That's why we recommend trying floating at least 3 times before deciding if you like it or not. And if you really want to see like proper benefits, we recommend floating regularly because floating is like a gym. If you want to grow your muscles, you need to go to gym regularly to see the improvements. And it's the same with floating. If you really want to see improvement in your mental health, like stress relief, insomnia relief, depression relief, or anxiety relief, it's also better to float regularly because the more you float, the more you train your parasympathetic nervous system, which gets you out of fight or flight mode. And the stronger the system gets, the easier it is for you to stay calm or to return to your calmness in stressful situations. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy your float.